All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Sarah Woodward, and I am the Deputy Director with Arts New Orleans. And I'd love for my two wonderful colleagues to introduce themselves as well.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lindsay Glatz. I'm the Creative Director for Arts New Orleans.
Hi, everyone. I'm Maya Curtis, and I am the Public Art Project Manager for Arts New Orleans.
And we are really excited to welcome you all today to our Percent for Art Citywide Call for Sites information session. So we have a number of information sessions going, but this one is in particular for those who are interested in proposing sites for public art that could benefit from light-based artwork. So welcome to you all. And just want to start off a little bit by giving you all some background information about our organization, Arts New Orleans. Some of you may know us as the Arts Council of New Orleans. We are an arts and culture organization dedicated to lifting up the incredible work of artists in our community. And we believe that artists should be integral to all placemaking, economic development efforts, community development efforts. And so that is why we have put forward this call for artists that's really thinking about how light artists can respond to and relate to civic issues in our city. And so we are an organization that's been around for 40 years. We do a number of programs throughout the city. Many of you all may be familiar with LUNAFET, which just happened a few weeks ago. That's really centered around light artwork. And so we're excited to be launching this new initiative through the Percent for Art program. So the Percent for Art program, for those who may be unfamiliar, started in the 80s, and it's the City of New Orleans Public Art Collection, which is managed by us. The Percent for Art program places original works by local artists throughout the city. So that includes indoor spaces, so artwork that you see in City Hall and Nord community centers, in neutral grounds. All of that is work that was commissioned through the Percent for Art program and through city funding. And so currently there are more than 400 works of art beautifying our city. And for those who are interested in learning more, I'm going to drop in the chat box a link to our website, which provides some more information about all of the work in the Percent for Art collection. And with that, I will pitch it over to my colleagues to take it from here.
Great. Thanks, Sarah. So we are here today to discuss the citywide call for sites. And what this entails is that we have, through the Percent for Art funding, we are planning to commission a series of light-based artworks throughout the community. And because we're of that community focus, we're looking for city agencies, individuals, folks representing New Orleans to tell us where those light artworks should go. So this is really exciting, not just for, increasing our public art funding, but also for really providing a platform for artists that we've been working with for many years. And this initiative will be spanning at least through the next 5 years. So we have a real opportunity to see change within civic spaces and utilize light artwork throughout New Orleans. So why specifically light artwork? We do murals, we do sculptures, we do, 2D works and paintings, but light art really has, I think, a very special quality. It's something that, all ages enjoy and are attracted to. And, there's broad appeal and sort of the beauty of illumination. And it also really serves as a tool for storytelling and animating public spaces. So hopefully many of you are familiar with LUNAFET, our annual Light Art and Technology Festival that happens in, each December or close to the end of the year. And so for the last 9 years, we have been working with local artists to, create temporary pieces that through the festival are on exhibit for 4 nights or, 4 nights throughout downtown New Orleans. So as we've been working every year, we've provided training to these artists. We've, worked really closely with developing their skill set and, had public art training. And so this is an opportunity for us to bring these temporary pieces that we love and, you know, are so enjoyed by folks during the festival to civic spaces that can be enjoyed year round. Also, one of our goals as an agency is to elevate New Orleans artists. So while, you know, with the festival and different opportunities, we do bring in international artists and artists from across the world. And, you know, we strongly believe that New Orleanians should have access to international and world-class art. We also want to elevate the opportunities for our local artists to create that work. And so this is a real opportunity for us to also prove something that we believe very strongly in, that light can solve community issues. So I'm going to kind of go through a couple of permanent pieces that have happened, some through LUNAFET and some through other opportunities, and, you know, whether they were spurred from LUNAFET or not, but that are in public space now. So one of the first, and this will just give you an idea of possibilities for spaces that you may have in mind. So one of the first pieces that sort of followed a model of premiering at LUNAFET and then moving to a permanent home in the city was Turning Prayer Wheels for the Mississippi by Michelle Varesco. So this was a piece that premiered at LUNAFET in 2017. And then found its home permanently in the Lafitte Greenway. So it's a beautiful piece. You know, these artworks stand alone during the day, and then at night, it really animates that space. And this was, you know, light can really solve an issue in terms of, you know, we have a lot of darkened corners in the city. If you think about light, you know, you always feel safer in a lighted area than you do in a dark space. And so it can really help create a community feel and a sense of safety and security within various corners of the city. Another beautiful piece, and this is one of our most iconic pieces, but Spirit House by John Scott and Martin Payton. And this is just a great example of, again, an artwork that stands alone during the day, but also, you know, really transforms at night. And so, again, this is very much about placemaking. This work, it speaks to it tells the story of the community that it surrounds. And, you know, when you think of Desai Circle, you think of Spirit House. And so that's an opportunity for places that may need some help being defined or attracted within the city. Art and light can help achieve that. Neon Rivers was one of our corporate commissions. And this actually came out of LUNAFET. The GM of this hotel had attended LUNAFET, and they were having a particular challenge at this hotel with defining their entryway. You know, cabs who were taking tourists, you know, Ubers, they couldn't find the entrance to the space because it was a very large building. And so after LUNAFET, they decided that light could solve that issue for them. So we worked with two artists, and you can sort of see here that blue space is where Neon Rivers is located. So that really helped define that entry point for their visitors and make sure that tourists could find their space. So again, this really creates a very distinct sense of arrival and entry for the space and can help define areas within the city. Vector Flow was another parks installation that, you know, we were looking to sort of animate and illuminate darkened corners of Duncan Plaza. So this installation is directly across from City Hall, and so helps kind of navigate and illuminate that corner as people traverse, you know, from City Hall or throughout Duncan Plaza in the evenings. And this is a really interesting installation if you haven't seen it, but the lights, as you can sort of see from the pictures, the lights, the artist took an opportunity and recorded the people as they walked through the space, and then the lights at night sort of echo the movement of people during the day. So it's a really interesting and really beautiful and subtle way of incorporating light into public space. The next piece is Iris of Memory by William Nemetoff. This piece was a partnership between our Percent program and the Lafitte Greenway. They were looking to do a memorial piece for Deborah Vorhoff, an artist who had connections to that space. And so the family helped secure and provide some of the funding, and we worked to match that with Percent funds. So this piece is really about a memorial to her, but also celebrating the Greenway. And you can see the leaves and the leaves of the flowers serve as benches. And as people approach the artwork, it gets brighter and sort of, that light continues as they leave the space. The concept of that is sort of echoing the sense of memory. So really beautiful memorial in a way to just kind of showcase how art can, again, tell a story of a space, tell a story of a person, and really animate and make beautiful, a public area. Another piece that was just recently installed was Heart Full of Rhythm by Ron Theron Ratliff. This was placed at the new Convention Center pedestrian park right at the Poydras entry. So it's sort of an entry point to this new space. It creates a sense of arrival and, we hope will become one of the iconic artworks of the city. Another piece that we installed through a commission by the Convention Center was Contemplate Congregate by Erwin Riddell. This is a illuminated LED bench. So it creates within the Convention Center space, which is a wide open area. And you imagine, with conventions, there's a lot of people traversing those areas. This creates a sort of intimate moment for people to rest, relax, or, contemplate and, congregate together. And this is, again, a really distinguishing artwork for the space. We see a lot of folks coming to the space and creating selfies and taking pictures, and, it's a really beautiful experience. Kettle Flower is the last project I'm going to discuss, and that's by Josh Pitts. So you can see here, this was a great example of an artist sort of taking a temporary work and then elevating it. And this is really what we're hoping to do with artists, is helping them scale their work from something that's small to something that can be, permanently installed. So this piece was on the Lafitte Greenway as part of a LUNAFET Supernova collaboration. And you can see here the materials are fabric, and it doesn't have a base. And working through the process, Josh created a permanent iteration of this piece. So here it is installed on the East Coast, and we were able to obtain it as a percent purchase. So we've installed it temporarily at the Convention Center, and it will be moving to the Lafitte Greenway at some point later this year. So again, these are really good examples of, ways that we don't just, we can address public safety, we can, create a sense of place, enhance wayfinding, and just build a sense of community around our public spaces through art and light. And with that, I'll turn it over to Maya to talk about the application process.
Great, thanks, Lindsay. Really wonderful examples, great photos. So we're going to get into the meat of the application and what we're looking for. But basically this call is anyone can apply. They want to hear from, people that are both working for city agencies or departments, community organizations, nonprofits, and individual residents. We really want to source our sites from people that are living there and working there. So you can apply with up to 3 site locations, and we'll get sort of more into what we're asking for with those sites. Next slide, Lindsay.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. So we're looking for artwork that can be placed on public property in the city of New Orleans. All neighborhoods are being considered, but we have special consideration for site possibilities in the 9th Ward. Examples include parks and libraries, Nord community centers, neutral grounds, bus shelters, walking and biking paths and crosswalks, or any other city building or infrastructure where art installations can be hung or suspended from the exterior. So a lot of possibilities, and would encourage people to take a walk around their neighborhood too, and see sort of any sites that you see that could be a potential for light art. So when we're looking through all the sites that we receive, we're really looking for the ability to enhance the surrounding neighborhood through the following criteria. So that's improving public safety, beautification and blight reduction, enhance community and economic development opportunities, increasing visibility for pedestrians and bikers, wayfinding, and then improved transit infrastructure. So like bus shelters and bikeways. And a lot of the examples that Lindsay showed previously are really great examples of how that light art enhanced the area it was placed. So as I mentioned, each applicant can submit up to 3 sites. And that's not limited to, you know, within an organization, I don't believe. If you have a couple of sites in mind or more than 3, you get a couple people from your office to submit, because we're really excited to see what everyone comes up with. The application is through the Arts New Orleans system, where you will have to make a login information, and we'll walk you through those screens to get to that process. But we have a range of questions, just sort of basic information. We're asking you to think about how the site can be used and how it fits that criteria of improving the civic infrastructure. And then we'll ask for photos and just a little bit more information about the site. And not all of that is required. We know that, the square footage may not be available to you, but you can do your best to input all that information.
All right.
Great. And I'm just going to share my screen and walk everyone through sort of that application process. We'll put these links in the chat as well, but on our website, if you go under to news and events, artist opportunities, and all of our calls are can be accessed here. So we'll be looking at the call for sites, and that will bring you to our submittable platform, which is where you'll have to make your login information. So you get a preview of all the components of the application and any of the key dates. So the application is due on Monday, February 6th at 11:59. So right before midnight, and that application will shut at that time. So get it in ahead. And then once you get to submittable, you'll have to scroll all the way down to create your account. And that will bring you, sorry, one sec. That will bring you to a page that has the application where you can fill it in. So that's, you'll get to a page like this where you can input all your information. So first name, last name, email, and then we'll get into the site specific. So neighborhood, council district, location, address, and a description for the proposal or for the proposed site and how it's used currently. I would recommend for any of the written portions to write them out on like a Word or Google Doc ahead of time, just in case the submittable crashes or doesn't save anything. You are able to save your applications, but just in case something happens, you have all your written work saved somewhere else outside of the submittable platform. And then again, thinking about the eligibility requirements and how this site is good for light art. And then a couple other descriptions. And then a place to upload photos of the sites. And we ask that you can label each image with the name of the site that you're submitting, since you can submit up to 3. And then it just repeats for location 2. But we're just really asking you to, go to the site or even look at it on Google Maps and help just us really get a sense of what you're proposing before we really dive into the selection process. And at the bottom, you do have a place where you can save your application and come back to it, and that will be within your login. Great. And I think that's it as far as the presentation goes, but we want to open everything up to questions that you might have, and I'll drop the links for the application and submittable in the chat.
Thanks, Maya and Lindsay. Does anyone have questions about the call for sites or application questions?
I have a question. So Aline with Bike Easy here. I'm just curious, really excited to get invited to check this out because I think it's in line with a lot of the work our policy and design committee is working on. So if we determine the site and what this piece would look like when it comes to the fabrication of the piece, is this something you can support with or put us in touch with particular artists, or is this something that you want us to also source as well? So I'm curious for that part, like what kind of support would you give us?
Yes, so that's a great question. So we actually have the call for sites running simultaneously with a call for artists. So at 2 o'clock today, we'll be hosting an information session for artists who are interested in creating work. And so we were really excited about the possibility of having our community tell us what sites we should be looking at as opposed to us choosing it as an agency. And so the process that we're going to take will be somewhat of a matchmaking process where we, through the Percent for Art committee, will choose the sites that seem to be most promising. And as Lindsay mentioned earlier, we're looking at this taking place over the next couple of years. So, some sites, as you all may know, may take a little while for site preparation or getting the right permitting in place, whatever that may be. And so our aim is to choose the sites based on the criteria coming through the committee. And then we will also choose a set of artists who will be asked to submit site-specific proposals for particular sites. And so we will manage, the artist selection and sort of oversight process, and the project will be fully funded by the Percent for Art program. So we do ask on the application whether there's a possibility for matching funds. That is not required at all, but it does, play into consideration if a particular site has some matching funds available. That will, dictate the size and scale of the artwork that we might be able to commission for that site and allow us to kind of stretch those Percent for Art city funds a little bit further. But to answer your question, we will provide a ton of support in finding the artists that are qualified to make incredible work and to really support, the artists in creating that so it meets, the best public art standards possible for the site. And then we would work really closely with whoever manages that site or whoever proposed it to make sure that the artwork that is selected for that site and the artist that's selected really fits, the intention and the need behind proposing it in the first place. So that was a bit of a long-winded answer, but did I cover what you were curious about?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Awesome.
In many ways, this is very much a fact-finding mission for us to sort of see the landscape of what's out there, what sites, to hear from the community, what needs are very specific to those spaces. And I did see a question from Sydney in the chat asking how many sites will be selected. that's unknown at this point because we do have the $200,000, annually allocated for this project. But, we may find a site that really requires a much larger scale piece, or, we can also match that with a series of smaller scale pieces. So part of this is, again, just hearing the community feedback, understanding the need, and then from there, we will build out a plan for the next, several years of this funding. But again, as Sarah mentioned, it is important for us in all of our public art calls. We have a Percent for Art committee that makes decisions, but we also invite whoever is very specific to that location and pull in members of the community, organizations that work with that space to make sure that they are a part of the community process and the artist selection process. And then just kind of moving forward on the artist side, once the plan is in place, we will be releasing specific requests for proposals, and those will be very specific to whatever that community and challenge of that space is. So those would be the applications that are reviewed by the committee and by the community contacts within the site. Any additional questions?
I saw a question from Amaya in the chat. The question is whether we will be responsible for coordinating city permitting. Yes, that is something that we work with the artists on directly. We, work closely with the city of New Orleans. And so that's something that we do for our public art projects. If, depending on the city agency that's involved in the particular site, we'll make sure that we work with the artist on submitting the permits that are appropriate for each of those sites. Other questions? Okay. Well, if there are no other questions, we will end here. But of course, as you all go onto the application or start thinking about particular sites, feel free to email us with any questions that you have that may pop up as you kind of explore a little bit further and look at the application. But thank you all so much for your interest and for joining us on Zoom today. We're really excited to see the possibilities for this project. All right. Thanks, everyone.